Hi, I'm Linda Hutto, your new media specialist. Today, I want to show you how to set up your gradebook in PowerSchool. The first thing you'll need to do is sign into PowerSchool. Once you've signed into PowerSchool, you should see a list of all of your classes. Once you're signed into PowerSchool, you will want to click on Power Teacher Pro to take you to the gradebook section of your class. The first thing we're going to do is set up your categories. Everyone's section is going to look a little bit different here. So you may have none and you may have a lot. If you have some and they are categories that you want to use, that's great. But if not, you may want to either click the plus sign at the top and create a new category, or click Show Inactive and use a previous category. Here, we were going to create a formative category and then realized we already had one. So we went back to utilize that category and we were able to create it as an active category and then change the scoring or the weighting to 40%, which is what suited our needs for this gradebook setup. Next, we want to just make sure that this is selected for all classes. So we're going to do a quick double check there. You can just click at the top and it will let you know that that category can be used in all classes. That way you're not having to create it in every class. And we're going to do the same thing here for the summative category, which we already had as well. Again, if you do not have these categories, you can click the little plus at the top and create a new one. But many people who have taught before have categories that they've used in previous years. A lot of times they do stay the same even if the weighting changes from year to year. So you do have the ability to modify those here. And then of course we're going to double check everything and make sure that it is active and that it is for all classes and it is where we want it to be before we hit accept. Now that we have made those active, we can select that Show Inactive button and take the check mark off, and it will only show us our active categories. Those are the categories we're going to be working with in our gradebook for Q1, 2, 3, and 4. And then so again, we're just double checking here to make sure that these are percentages and that they are the percentages that we want them to be. So once we have our categories assigned, the next thing that we want to do is our gradebook setup overall. So we're going to go to Settings, Traditional Grade Calculations, and then we are going to set up each term for the year. So we're going to start with that Y1. So we know that the year 1 grade in most classes in this particular school is going to be the sum of the first semester and the second semester. So we are going to use what we call term weighting in the type, and then for the attribute we are going to select S1, that's semester 1, and S2, semester 2. As long as the percentages say 50-50, you can do this weighting in a couple of different ways. So you can put ones in there and make them equally 50%, or you could put 0.5, the decimal form of the percent, and still get 50%. So instead of focusing on so much as what is in that weight spot, focus more on what the percentages are. So for our term weighting for this, we want it to be semester 1 and 2 equally at 50%. Once we have that done, we're going to save it. And then we're going to go ahead and move down to our semester 1 category weighting. So our semester 1 category weighting is going to be, sorry about that. Our semester 1 category weighting is going to be the sum of our first and second quarters. So we're going to have 2 types under this particular aspect. And so we're going to select term weighting, Q1 and Q2, and we again want that to be 50% and 50%. And so once we have that done, we can just double check and then save. Now that we have S1 done, we're going to go to quarter 1, quarter 2, and then we'll do the rest of the quarters as well. So for quarter 1, we want to make sure we're choosing category weights. So those go back to the categories that we chose at the beginning of our little session. And that's very important because you may have 2 or you may have more than 2. So your category weight number is going to be determined by how many categories you decide to have in your particular class. Also, the weighting of those is going to be determined by how much you decide to weight those in your particular class. So here for Miss Erin's grade book, we have formative as 40% of her quarter average and summative assessments as 60% of her quarter average. So this will not look exactly the same for every teacher in the building. And then again, just to show you, you can use 4 and 6 or 0.4 and 0.6 to get those same percentages. So there is a really cool feature that you can use to copy your quarter 1 grades setup into the rest of the quarters. However, we could not get that to work today, so I'm going to have to troubleshoot with that some. So I'm just going to run through very quickly and show you the setup of Q2, 3, and 4, just so that we can get a little bit more visual reinforcement on that. Instead of copying it, since we couldn't get that function to work today. And then of course, when we go to set up semester 2, we just remember that semester 2 is the sum of quarters 3 and 4. And so we're going to use our term weighting again, and then make those even weights at 50% and 50%. Once we have that done, we can save it. And then we'll move on to our quarters 3 and 4, and we're going to use our same percentages. Please notice that we are using formative and summative and the same exact percentages in each setup for each quarter to remain consistent in our grade book. And so just make sure that before you start, you have a clear decision about how you want to have your weightings throughout the year, so that you're not like trying to change it in the middle of the year. So and this will be the final part of our setup for Q4. So we'll just finish putting our same percentages from our previous quarters into Q4, and then we'll save. Typically, I would tell you that once we have one class set up, you can just copy your grade setup into all of your other classes if you're going to use the same thing. And on a normal day where we weren't trying to make an instructional video, that would have worked. But unfortunately today we kept getting an error message when Miss Erin was kind enough to let me log into her PowerSchool and try it out. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of research about why that is occurring. And if I can find a workaround, I will be in touch with all of you and let you know. If you have any questions about setting up your grade book, please let me know and I will be happy to assist you to the best of my ability. Thanks.